It's a great pleasure for me to introduce to you our new Chancellor for Tarrant County College District is here, Dr. Gene Giovannini. Thank you for being here, Dr. Giovannini. I told him this was the place to be in Northeast Tarrant County to connect with everybody, so I hope you have a chance to visit with Gene today and get to know him. We're really excited about the leadership and energy that he's bringing to our college district to support great things like the Heart of North Texas Conference and Northeast Leadership Forum. We have a wonderful event for you today. It is pretty well scripted out, so I'm not going to read that to you, but I will introduce our first panel. Marty Wieder, come on up here. Marty is going to facilitate the panel of Dr. Larry Darlage, Dr. Karen Rue, Oscar Trevino, our Mayor of NRH, Vicki Truitt. Come on up and please join Marty. And what we've talked about is the fact that this is the Emerald anniversary, 20 years. And last year's conference, we had Mr. Rick Smyer as the breakfast speaker. And we had such input from people saying, we want this guy back. And so Rick is here today. He's actually out for breakfast to have breakfast maybe this morning with us. But he'll be our lunch and keynote. And his book has come out this year called Preparing for a World That Doesn't Exist Yet. We're going to have some copies of these that we'll circulate today, and we'll give out a few of these to make sure that you have a chance to look at that. But the planning committee talked about this year's conference being the Emerald anniversary, the 20th year of the conference. And we talked about 2020 vision, looking 20 years back and 20 years forward. What's this all going to look like? So as we get ready to look 20 years forward throughout the conference and for the rest of the day, we wanted to anchor ourselves in the great work that's been done for the past. So Marty, we look forward to you and the panel's comments.
Alan, thank you. My name's Marty Wieder. It's great to be with you guys. Welcome. Hard to believe that it's been 20 years. Quick question. How many of you remember being at that very first one 20 years ago? A few hands. Raise them up high. We did have a few of us up here. Just amazing to think. Why are we even talking about 20 years, actually even 21 years back this morning? Well, this particular session is considered Heart of North Texas 2020. And as Carolyn Sims and I started talking about that, one of the things we wanted to do, we were asked by the board that put all this together was to, Marty, let's talk about, let's look back, almost as if we were going to be ophthalmologists. You know, we're going to put on the specs and take a look and look back at the past and think about the things that this region was experiencing back in '96, and then also try to take from that, let's extract what we can from the panels, things that maybe we ought to think about over the next 20 years and take into consideration. Real quickly, the background on how this all came about. There used to be a group in Arlington that held a thing called the Mid-Cities Business Outlook Conference that was held usually in January of every year, and was meant to be for like what we're doing, but was based for the University of Texas at Arlington and coordinated by the Council of Governments and the North Texas Commission. I had always felt like it was important we be there. I was working for the city of North Richland Hills at the time, and so I held a breakfast and invited people to come just so they'd make the drive to Arlington to hear it. Well, after seeing that, the Northeast Leadership Forum Board, and in particular Gary Hamilton, who became the chairman, in concert with Larry Darlage on the other end, started talking and presented to the board, let's do our own conference right here and talk about the things, the dynamic of this region and the things we need to focus on. So that's really how we ended up starting to do what we're doing now for the 20th year. Thrilled that, and really with Larry's involvement with Gary Hamilton, the rest is history. For the name of it, just as a last piece before we talk about the panel and jump in. 5 of our cities, and I've seen some of my economic development counterparts out there. I promise you I'd be joining you without a tie if I was still here today. I applaud you. We had a number of us had gone to a trade show in New York representing this region, and we called it, with our booth, the Heart of Dallas-Fort Worth. And Gary Hamilton had seen that and said, no, it's the Heart of North Texas that we should sell, and that's why they extracted that name and put it on this conference. So the planning team said, let's get some leaders together, and let's talk to some people who were here or came here during that period, maybe shortly thereafter. Their bios, as Alan talked about, are in your program. I'm not going to introduce them all. I'm going to toss out a few tidbits. that I've seen in working with them over the years, sprinkling some things. But for instance, the woman to my immediate right had been here her whole life, remembers when it was rural. First house she can recall had a gravel road leading up to it, right?
I know it was the gravel road in front of it.
In front of it. Love it. She had lived here, ran for the Texas legislature, you may recall, and won in 1998. So 2 years after this all began. Served 99 through 2012 and is now president of her own consulting firm. The gentleman on the right of her, elected to city council in 99, became mayor in North Richland Hills in 2002. He's held that position ever since, while grooming his children to now take the reins over time of his heavy highway construction company. What's interesting is I can remember, I was telling Craig Hulse earlier when I was in his shoes, when we heard that one of our business owners, one of our residents, had received the SBA Small Business of the Year. I'd never heard of this guy, Oscar Trevino. Well, let's bring him to our luncheon, our business appreciation luncheon, and recognize him and hold up a, I wish I still had that, Mayor, that picture of you, that they made up a great publication. But you had been here since like 82, I believe it was, right? Larry Darlage, I'll come back to you, Karen. Larry Darlage, he retired from Tarrant County College in 2014, but it just came on from Brookhaven, wasn't it, in right at that year?
Brookhaven College.
Yes.
I was there 18 years.
Yes, had been in Dallas County.
In Dallas County, and came over here and became president in 1996.
And met Gary Hamilton.
I met Gary Hamilton. Actually, before I became president, I met Gary
Yes.
at that conference. And so at that time, he indicated, well, we need to do one of these at TCC when you become president. And I said, let's do it, you know, and that was the first year.
So y'all met the Mid-Cities Business Outlet?
We did.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. He's now, you may know, he retired here and then now has been principal of Crown of Life Lutheran School in Colleyville. Karen Rood retired this year after being at the Northwest ISD for 12 years, right? 11 years. Yeah, almost 12. And then, but wasn't in the region in 1996. Came as a result of the opportunity here. And me, I had the pleasure of working with 2 Northeast Tarrant communities and consulted with 3 others while I was in the private sector for a decade. And I'm still a resident, but for the last 5 months I've been working outside this region. It's hard to believe, for the first time in 24 years, but still believe in what's happening here, and that's what we want to talk about. Let's have a warm-up, and let's talk about some of the things that we want to discuss. Does anyone remember what you were driving in 1996?
It was a horse and buggy.
It wasn't that bad.
I was driving Camry.
A Camry?
1988 Camry.
Okay, I don't feel so bad about my 1990 Honda Accord, that I recall.
Yeah, would have been a Camry for me.
A Camry?
Yeah.
And I had to have a pickup.
I was going to say, you had a truck, didn't you?
Pickup truck, yeah.
Yeah.
Lincoln Town Car.
Oh, wow. Whoa.
She drove me over in the hill.
What do you expect? Now, here's another question real quick before we get into some bigger stuff. Do you remember if you had a mobile phone? And if you did, how big was it?
I remember seeing them. Seeing people walk into my office carrying one,
Yes.
the size of a small suitcase with the receiver that fit in the, on the top.
I had one.
I bet you did.
And I just upgraded from one that took up the back of the truck, behind the seat. It had been mounted, and it was, oh my, and you couldn't afford it, first off.
Right.
And then you couldn't be without it. Not like now, we could be without our phones real easily, but back then you could.
You could be
Oh,
right.
excuse me.
Wait a
minute, I got something to do.
I was working for CA Sanford, and I'll never forget, I go to work and I get this, Marty, you got a phone, we're gonna strap it to your brake on your Honda. My kids thought it was great, but they're like, Dad, it was like a bat phone.
It costs hundreds of dollars to have an installation for your phone in the car. And yeah, and the bags, you had to have a shoulder strap because the battery was like.
So cute.
Mobile was a loose term.
Yes.
Mobile
How
really
strong
wasn't.
were you? That's right.
It's a different world. You know, we've seen a lot of change in 20 years. Did any of us foresee, or could we foresee that it was going to be this dramatic?
I don't think so. when I look back on this, it seems like yesterday. In one way, it seems like yesterday that we started all this, but in another way, it seems like a long time ago. But I think maybe the economic engines that were in place,
Yes.
DFW Airport, I think opened in '72 or something like that, and then Alliance Airport later on. The corridor between the two of them just made this place blossom.
That's what I was selling when I was with North Richland Mills, Larry, was that, when I'd come there, here we are, we're between two powerhouses and expected to an extent that we grow it.
I don't think that,
Not this
the catchphrase or the prime word is dramatic growth.
Yes.
We expected growth, and I think our developers expected growth, but not to this extent. If you think about TCC, for instance, Marty, TCC played it right in where they located their campuses.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think they played it right because they had the foresight to know it was there. I think they saw cheap land, available land around the county, and they made it work. And all of a sudden, now they look like geniuses because they, you know what I'm talking about.
But Mayor, does that raise the question, does that not show how important education can be to fulfilling the needs of employers?
You talk about our economic engines of DFW and Alliance. You can't forget the economic engine of the retraining and the retooling that a community college of this nature. They're kind of a gem. We don't even know it's there. We all know it's there, but we don't know it's there.
Right.
And we don't know how it really functions for the growth and the vitality and the retraining, retooling of this community.
We somewhat maybe take it for granted.
We really did.
And you really need to think about education as infrastructure, just as much as we think of any other function within our state as an infrastructure for not just managing growth, but retaining quality of life. This is huge. And I will tell you that, just real quickly, when you asked, do any of us see ourselves where we are, the world the way it is today?
You were in Katy at the time,
I was
right?
in Katy at the time, but I many times have wondered, whoever taught Steve Jobs English in high school or Bill Gates math in high school, do you think they had a clue what those guys were going to do and how it would totally change our world? And so I wonder who's sitting in our schools today, and what will they do, or what's coming that will just totally be unfathomable as we sit here this morning.
That's a great
The
point.
reality of the demographics hit me when I went into the legislature in 1999 and started listening to the state demographer.
Yes.
And the DFW population at the time was about 4.5 million. It's currently at 6.6 million and one of the fastest growing places in the nation. The Texas population at the time was 19 million. We're currently at 27 million, and fasten your seatbelts. We're headed for 40 quickly. 40 million people in Texas.
And those 40 million people are going to be concentrated San Antonio, Austin, DFW region, and Houston. That's the pocket.
Tell us this, I'm curious, it's a great point about the growth, and thinking about it. By the way, I held on my wife, I have a terrible sickness, so I'll throw these away when I'm finished. I discovered I had saved an editorial that one of our sponsors, the Star-Telegram, had done back in 1996, April 10th of 1996, that said we were going to grow like wildfire, and pointed out that what was driving what they could foresee as Northeast Tarrant population growth are quality of life, good school districts, those attractions coupled with a relatively low tax rates and carefully controlled development is what draw businesses according to the cities. And we saw some things that were in place then we want to talk about today maybe too, if we can, what we need to do to preserve those things or build on that. What's the one thing that surprised you the most or that was least expected that we experienced over the last 20 years? Anything stick out that really caught you off guard?
Well, one thing is, we kind of went through a couple of recessions in that period of time, and this region did not go through as deep a recession as the rest of the nation did. And so,
Why is that, Larry? What do you think?
well, of course, the economic engines were churning away, and I think just the bringing people into the area. There were a lot of people who migrated in, and they needed jobs. Education was very important to them, and so I just feel like all of these things together created this. Oh, I guess it was not such a deep recession as the rest of the country experienced.
But we did have a recession, and we felt it economically. The housing market felt it, the businesses felt it, the industries, the different industries felt it. But we had something going for us, and not only all the economic engines we've already talked about, but we were selling quality of life. I think the municipalities and the county, first off, the municipalities working together as well as they do, and working with the county as well as we have, the way that we've been able to collaborate, but offer through TIFs, through other things, offer quality of life amenities. In all the cities in this area, look at the park systems, look at the libraries, look at the rec centers, look at all the quality of life things that they offer their citizens. And our citizens, they don't know if they're in Hurst and North Richland Hills, they don't really care. They know what facility they want to take advantage of and utilize. And I think we were positioned in such, like a dog park right on your property. But yeah, it made people feel safe, relatively low tax rate. They feel safe, and they have quality of life to raise their families. And more importantly, we have great school systems locked in. And those school systems at K through 12 did such a great job of attracting those families.
That's true. Anything surprise you though at all about what we saw? I mean, one thing that came to my mind, this editorial made reference that over the next 20 years, maybe the Loop 820 Texas 183 interchange will be done by then. Those of you remember that. What I would raise as is amazing is that the 820 183 interchange would be completed and rebuilt again within that 20 years.
Well, and you're right about transportation being such a huge piece of this whole economic engine, the way people coming into the area, the ability to drive quickly to work, the access time, all of that matters. And we've seen a lot of that happening in all of the construction growth right here over time.
Yes.
I will tell you one thing that I don't know. I wasn't there, so I can't say whether what kind of conversations took place. But one thing that surprised me that I would not have seen coming was Barnett Shale and what happened there, and how that really just created not just a huge draw within jobs, but it also changed the landscape. And I know the difficulty of finding 100 contiguous acres to place a high school on.
Made your job tougher to
That
an
wasn't
extent, right?
peppered with natural gas wells by this point in time today. So it changes, that offers other challenges and opportunities. They come as a double twin blade.
Kind of a wild card.
But thank goodness we're not solely dependent upon oil and gas, and that's another blessing this region has, is the diversity of economy. So that's one of the reasons we weren't as hard hit by the recession.
Right, because natural gas, that stopped much of the Barnett Shale work.
But Houston's being very hard hit now.
That's exactly right.
How much their economy is.
Right, and while it changed some things, it didn't hit us.
But Vicki, and back to transportation, in 05, 06, we were having a conversation spearheaded by Judge Whitley about an hour loop around Tarrant County for the upcoming growth in transportation, and how we move the railroads who were blocking Tower 55 and other things, and how to move them around, and how much it would cost us, and all this other stuff. And as we're having that conversation, all of a sudden, it looked like chicken pox popping up around us with the Barnett Shale.
Yeah.
And just sunk our plans because we couldn't find the route between the wills. And it happened that fast. I mean, we were sitting in a room having a conversation about it. Commissioner Fickus, you were involved in those conversations. And all of a sudden, our conversation ended. So now all of a sudden it's a loop talking around Dallas and Tarrant. We can't. And it's amazing how fast that happened to us.
It's very quick. I can remember working as a consultant with a city outside of here who had a gentleman, a city manager, who had a brother that lived in Plano and said, "What's about this Barnett Shell thing and why can't we have some of it?" It's just not right. But it's a mixed bag, and I loved your illustration about chicken pox because, you know, just to plow the, peppered, but to plow for that too, you know, you younger folks that don't experience chicken pox, it's probably better because you won't one day get shingles. And so, you know, is that something else we have to be concerned about?
Aging community.
Well, it's great you had this once upon a time. Be ready. Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm not so sure that's a good kind of chicken pox to have. Will it come back to bite me?
Opportunities.
Yeah, opportunities. And opportunities,
That's
yeah,
right.
challenges can always be opportunities.
Yes, indeed.
You know, it's something, we talk about good things. There's a lot of good things to point to. But I'm curious, has there ever been anything, or is there anything over the last 20 years as we've worked and as we've represented communities and school districts and regions that you consider to be disappointing or lost opportunities perhaps?
I think we're reactive rather than proactive. Back to Whitley and some of the things he's talking about.
He's proactive, I know.
He's very proactive with a commissioner, with a TxDOT commissioner.
Chief Sparker's being
And not everybody's going to be happy about that, but I like it.
Your delegation's right back there.
But his conversation now is land banking of right-of-way as we grow from 7 million to 12 million or 15 million. How do we do that? How do we get there? We're reactive. We're not being proactive. That's a proactive move. Commuter rail. Commuter rail from downtown Fort Worth, our biggest economic engine, should have happened 20 years ago. And the time wasn't right, so we're having to fight now to get it done. And we have to work slow, but we have to work that slow. A20. We've been planning it for 25, 40 years. And it took that long to get something done that needs to happen in our communities. Because our job isn't to look at the people here and say, I'm going to represent these folks. Our job is to look at the kids in the 2nd and 3rd grade and say, those are the people we're representing, and those are the people that we want to leave in a situation. There's going to be congestion, but let's minimize that congestion. Let's help with that education. Let's help with the revitalization.
Vicki, anything come to mind?
That ties in with a thought I had that I hope doesn't draw tomatoes. It's called assimilation. When people move to our nation, we want them to assimilate and become part of the fabric of our nation, right? So look at all the people who are moving to Texas, all the people who are moving to North Texas, all the people who are moving to Northeast Tarrant County. This is a great area because of the forethought and because of the planning and because of the attitudes. Don't change that. Become a part of it. Embrace it. Go with it and make it even better. Don't try to make it where you came from.
Well,
And I'm not trying to be critical.
Yes.
I'm just saying this is a dynamic area with positive characteristics that don't need to change.
that's a good point.
And you have to keep what's right, and you have to keep what makes us unique in our own culture. That, and yet at the same time, you know, the foot in today and the other foot in 10 years from now, what's that going to look like? in 20 years now, if this organization holds the same panel discussion again, someone's going to be saying, they put this in motion and they got it right, or they missed an opportunity to put something in motion.
And that's what we want to avoid. So y'all hold that thought. We want to talk about that some today. It's great, Karen, because we want to make sure we come away with something that we can say, okay, we learned from this. We should have done this, and we encourage them not to go that route.
Well, I went to Japan and China a few years ago. I guess it's 5 or 6 years ago. I traveled all over Japan in a bullet train, and their technology is so advanced in terms of that type of mass transportation. And I think we really missed out. And we're starting to make some progress. We're talking about it and that sort of thing, but it's going to be a while before we get to that level.
The proactivity is starting, and it's being privately driven. Yet the illustration you made earlier, Mayor, about where's the growth going to continue to be, ironically with cities, more urban where people are moving, and yet the obstacles appear to be more rural of people who don't want anything like that coming through their properties. So some of those things we can control are within our rowboat. Some are outside, and that's what makes this a real great adventure.
And that's when we have to row even harder.
Thank you. Well, and it's funny, the same editorial, I'll never forget, that at this same time, in '96, there was a great deal of concern about maybe the state will understand when we demand more money to fix Texas 114. Yet, Commissioner Fickus, I can remember, you kind of really led the charge. We had to go to Austin. We had to go out there and say, in buses, right? So there's that proactivity thing again. And if you notice, just an observation from my perspective, we're talking the judge and the county commissioner who are most proactive, and now here they are in positions where they are. Just take note of that. Kind of interesting, but mayor and somebody that's been on in different positions. Proactivity is huge. My biggest disappointment that I can recall from all that time is that it took creating a tollway to fund some of the road improvements that we needed to accommodate our growth. It's a shame to think that couldn't have been funded, that people couldn't have seen the demand and couldn't have been funded. So we had to kind of do something that not everybody's going to be just jumping up and down around.
And the political shift has made it where nobody likes the toll road now. Oh, they didn't like it then either. But if we hadn't done it the way it is, Commissioner Fickus comes to mind because he took and Glenda too, he took the brunt of the shots because that's the only way we could fund it at that time.
Yeah.
And you know what? We weathered the storm and we got 820. And now you look at the managed lanes, who's using it? The plumbers, the carpenters, the 18-wheelers, people that get paid by the trip. They know that they need to make it from point A to point B. And so it makes sense.
Even people who need to get to work in Dallas County,
At Grand Prairie.
You get there on time, you're going to take the managed lanes, the toll road this time. But yeah, well, you saw the report in the paper just this week, $19 million in a 3-month period. I mean, people are using it. The fear that it wouldn't be used is gone. It gives you options to an extent. Yes, you have some improvements, and they've been funded.
I think that's part of the culture here too, the fact that we work to solve our own problems and are creative about that and throw things out there that don't always make it, but that open the door to other things that are going to be good solutions.
Well, civic discussion, civic discourse, right? To talk, not be afraid to have difference of opinion.
You can do so, though, and still be respectful.
Thank you. Disagree, agree.
Absolutely.
Right?
We're not talking about the political today, of course. We're talking about.
Let's talk Texas.
We're not
I
talking.
mean, seriously,
She's not going.
the communication,
Yeah.
the communication has changed dramatically in the last 20 years.
Yes.
And I blame the internet in large part. When people aren't communicating face to face, it's easy to say something over the internet that you would never say in person. And it has removed the civility.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Politics is ugly.
Well, and Karen and I were talking about this earlier about these wonderful deals, and I talked with some other folks about this, that this is great for connection. it also can destroy connection, because if we're not making eye contact, if we're not, one of my kids had a birthday party a couple years ago, and I come in indoor, outdoor in September, and I see people, some are outside playing volleyball, and some are sitting in our living room, and they're all quiet. Doing this, and I said, what are y'all doing? We're all texting. If they weren't, they didn't communicate, and we weren't learning how to use this, and doing this, and getting on the same page.
But you think about what we've done right, I think the collaboration, and we talk about Texas, but we talk about our congressional delegation in D.C. We've got a good congressional delegation that listens to us. Our state elected officials, we've got good state elected officials that listen to us. The counties and the cities all work together.
Good.
And city of Hurst and us, city of Bedford and Euless, everybody works together for the common good of the region.
And I'm biased, but don't forget all the administrative professionals that work with these cities and counties
And that's-
that are taking what our policy leaders are telling them and implementing them in a very
We can't sell the staff short.
No.
It's unbelievable the great staff we have, from the public works guy fixing the sewer line to the parks gal grading the parking, the playgrounds, to the city managers. We have some fantastic staff members
Really
throughout
good.
the cities.
really
We certainly, just to put a cross your T, that we achieve far more working together as a region than we do independently as a council.
Well, so, and that brings me to this next question, because we're somewhat transitioning here. What do you consider to be the one thing we could point to that best prepared our cities and our counties and our school district and the state to accommodate this growth? Would it be the communication? Collaboration?
And it's going to need to be continued support, the same type of continued support that created such a fine quality of life that draws so many people in North Texas. The classrooms of today are totally different than the classrooms that any of us sat in.
We'll drill down on that, because we were discussing the fact that I've got a new middle school next to me that some, with the first bond election, weren't jumping up and down about, weren't excited, and yet we kept pointing out, it's over 50 years old, it can't accommodate
That's right.
the technology.
But, well, and more than technology alone, as communities who have a life cycle to them, having public buildings, having schools, libraries, parks, hospitals, the things that you can take pride in, that matters, and that leads to revitalization as well. When schools in communities are gyms, people with children want to be near them. And that means the buildings too. You have to take a look at the physical space in order to create the environmental space. What's that like inside a classroom? That means they have to be renovated, they have to be kept up to date, and communities have to make decisions about when that building no longer meets the needs or serves the needs of the children of today and the children of 20 years from now. You know, they deserve the very best we have to offer. And so we have to keep thinking about that. But I keep going back to the fact that drives strong communities. Strong communities create strong schools, but also drives this sense of revitalization and keeping communities alive.
Placemaking, one of my favorite words. When you're actually creating places that people
Look what's
want to
happening in
stay.
North Richland Hills.
Thank
It's
you.
amazing.
And it's because of BISD. It's because not only BISD and Keller ISD in our city, it's TCC. This Performing Arts Center is coming into TCC. The new middle school at North Richland Middle. What it does, why isn't it good enough for my kids? Today, Northwest ISD is on the outskirts. Guess what? In 25 years, Northwest ISD is going to be Birdville or HEB.
That's a great
And
point.
so how do you get that revitalization so the signs on your houses are not for rent, they're for sale, and you have young families, because those kids deserve that new facility, that same education that the kids in whatever school district's going to be out in Parker County somewhere. Why don't our kids deserve the same level of education? Why don't those kids have the same new school? Welcome City, Richland Hills, you name it.
Right, you have to talk in terms when you're talking about funding those facilities and going out to your community and talking about bond referendums. All of those, have to be shaped so that people understand they're making a decision for the future as much as they are for today. That's a message that people need to hear over and over and over again.
That's exactly right. You
Right.
gotta keep sharing it, don't you? Keep
Yeah.
putting it up on the wall and make sure people,
Over
and
and
you've
over.
said that before, but yeah, but this person forgot it, this person hasn't.
Well, you're talking to a parade. This community, the state of Texas alone accepts into its schools only. So do the math, a 4-to-1 ratio, I think it is, 80,000 students, roughly 80,000 students a year. So do the math on how many people are coming in, and they're coming into these areas, and we certainly get our broad share of that. So you're talking to a parade. People are new, they're coming in, they haven't heard it before. I'd like to take a real quick point of privilege and recognize 2 people in the audience who are here. Want to introduce to you, if you haven't met him already, my predecessor, Dr. Ryder Warden, who is now Superintendent in Northwest ISD. Gotta get my math.
You're his successor.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'd also like to introduce to you, if you have not already met, the Texas Superintendent of the Year, Dr. Cavazos.
The things that y'all are discussing, in terms of cities, example that's in North Richland Hills, several places where you team with the district to do parks.
Quality of life.
Quality of life, tennis centers. But there's a key point in here too of you could have each chosen to do something individually that you did collectively. You get the synergy, but you also save money in the process, right?
And you better utilize, and there's security questions, and there's all kinds of questions, but you better utilize the limited dirt that God gave us. And that's the most important. We'll go back to the Performing Arts Center for TCC. Initially, we had it looking in the hometown area. Well, we have a beautiful campus here on Northeast Campus. So it makes perfect sense. That's part of the campus. It ought to be on the campus. It could be in North Richland Hills. We don't want it to be in Hurst. The mailbox. The mailboxes in Hurst. That's fine. Leave the mailbox in Hurst. Center in our city. But the other spot for us to use for business.
I know you're talking, you brought up something though. I'm going to switch gears. You brought up something though that does matter, that's, what do we need to be thinking about for our future? And I talked
Let's
about
head there,
schools,
please.
But you also talked about parks and recreation. And all these pesky newcomers, they want parks and libraries and churches and schools and, so we think about how, and I know, Mayor Goldman and our Mayor Truitt Club, Mayor Sanders, you know what that's like when people are pouring into the area trying to use very limited parks and facilities that your community's putting together. So finding ways to collaborate there matters a great deal to a young community.
Well, let's play off that. I mean, now that we've experienced this score of 20 years.
Score.
The score.
4 scores.
Well, yes, 4 scores. We just had 1 score. It appears this level of growth and this change may be even greater over the next 20 to 25 years. So in light of that, what do we need to be doing now to best ensure that the Northeast Tarrant momentum and legacy carries on?
Okay, I will say this and then I'm done. I don't know. But I'm going to share a quote from Henry Ford. Said that he didn't, and I'm sure you know it, he didn't ask people what they wanted in transportation. He said they would have told him that they wanted a faster horse. He designed something totally different, and he put that out there. So when we're talking about what do we need to do going forward, I would just offer the thought of what's in beta somewhere that we don't know, we aren't using today. But 20 years from now, we would say, boy, we should have been studying that, been on the cusp of it. You know, but just leaning back on what we already know to solve our problems repeats what we know how to do. So what's out there?
Yeah, we don't want to be stuck, do we?
And
One of the
clearly,
things-
we have to continue to invest in infrastructure. You can't accommodate all the new people without replacing the old and building the new. So there's nothing wrong with investing in the
And
future.
offering choices. Offering choices.
Larry had
So
something.
I'll kind of beat this dead horse.
Good.
The mass transportation is really a key. The infrastructure, but part of that is mass transportation. Now, what this looks like, I know we talk about bullet trains and things like that. Maybe there's something else out there that we haven't even thought of yet. Somebody was talking about individual underground
Vacuum pods.
vacuum pods or something like that.
That just gives me the heebie-jeebies.
But maybe something that will evolve from that will take us into the next century.
But Marty, could continue collaboration
Good. What are we
within
doing
our
now?
facilities,
That works, that's
but
good.
something that's not that's not within our power to change and to prepare for, but that we need to be addressing from a statewide level, is this right here.
Yeah.
We have got to be concerned.
Yeah.
Right now the lakes are full, hey, everybody's happy. Well, as those people come in, they're not bringing their own water. We have got to get something solidified on a plan for the future.
And if you're not aware, a great many leaders in our region, a lot of people, but in the 50s, go back and look, did a phenomenal lake plan that made it possible for all of us to come in here or to move in. And so you're absolutely right. What can we do? I did hear
And
one.
we need to learn to live with less of it.
Of course.
Okay, that's a part of it.
Yes.
Is it not?
Yes.
That's great.
Conservation.
Conservative. Yeah, I keep drinking it up here. Maybe I, but
Notice we don't all have it, though.
yes. Good point. Only 2 of 5.
I've been looking at this glass of water.
We do not want this setup, Larry. Do we? Only 2 of 5 have enough water.
Obviously, we're in the Hitherland.
3 out of 5 of us are conserving.
Or conserving. For what it's worth, I heard a presentation. Other states have been working on this. There's already, with the Red River, it's navigable in Louisiana. Arkansas has been working. It's getting ready to be navigable up to partially our state. We go to Texarkana. The Red River Authority is giving thought to. Should it continue on up to Gainesville? And eventually maybe even all the way to where the Red River Valley Authority is based, Wichita Falls. Do you think Wichita Falls could use some water? It's the kind of thing that it could make a dramatic difference. Could also help with air quality because you'd be carrying freight there and maybe removing some trucks from the highway because they're going on. You create lakes to support. So we're going to have to be able to think differently to meet those basic needs. Recycle, reserves that use less.
Look at our kids at back to elementary schools. Look at the middle schools. They have those bins outside their parking lots, and they recycle every day. My God, I remember riding with Dad and throw it out the window. Now everything is. Our kids are being taught so much better than we were taught.
Oh, look at that. See, Alan. So
That's all right, Alan.
Great servant here bringing us water. Yeah. Let's talk about this.
And I'll take it with me.
You brought up a whole, Mayor, that in terms of water, some things that maybe we're not even, that don't even come to our mind, that we need to be thinking about. I was talking with Jerry Zumwalt earlier, who's just come on board to join Alan and his team, and one of the comments, he's the Vice President of Community and Industry Education for the Northeast Campus, and we started talking about, this is from the Economic Development Research Partners through the International Economic Development Council, shifting workforce development into high gear. And we've done a great deal in the way of education, but are we really meeting the needs so we can maintain the drive and the momentum of this job growth engine? Do we need to maybe be even more intentional in that way? What other holes are we seeing? Anything else that comes to mind as we kind of take it to a close?
And Tarrant County College is the perfect resource for doing what it's doing as far as retraining, because gone are the days when someone went to college and learned one thing and then they did that their whole life. That's not the way life is anymore. So it's a constant evolution of learning and retraining, and hats off to TCC for.
And Vicki, along the line with TCC, it's not just that they retrain and retool. They're so tied to the industries. For instance, the Barnett Shale, or aviation. I mean, they re-geared themselves to provide that education and that retooling for that industry specific. And it was amazing how they did it as quickly as they did it, because they're another bureaucratic organization that it takes a while to get things happening. Well, at TCC, they jumped into the Barnett Shale training. They jumped into the Alliance aircraft mechanic training. They were quick on their feet to make that happen.
To respond to the needs.
Yes.
And don't overlook the power of partnerships with school districts. I know that you're going to be talking about that in your session, Dr. Cavazos, and the entire STEM field and the way workforce development P16 is really collaborating and working together in new and inventive ways. The development of academies within school systems with a different layer and a different type of partnership in corporate business leaders. Those things are evolving quickly, and workforce development, I think will look different. I think that the types of partnerships that are going to evolve are going to be much more progressive. I think our kids are going to have tremendous opportunities, and that's something that we need to grow. We need in our future to be more seamless between our corporate industry business partners and the type of work and opportunities and experiences kids have in the K-12 and then on into K-16.
All of the TCC colleges or campuses now have early college high schools. Those you talked about academies and collaboration and that sort of thing. I think it's the kids in those academies who will take us into the future. I think that I also work with little kids right now, and when I look at them, I think that's our future. And when I see that, I feel good about it, because I think that within them they're going to do well. So
They're the ones that we, as y'all stated earlier, we really need to be thinking about. Do us a favor, and Carol and I had talked about this before, Carolyn Sims. If anything comes to your mind that you think we should need to make sure and not forget for the past 20 years that we should keep doing, or anything that you can foresee already is maybe one of those opportunities that we didn't bring up here today or didn't come to mind, make sure and write them down and share them. There's going to be an opportunity, but the Northeast Campus would like to be able to document that as a result, almost as a tribute to this 20 years, and carry something forward as a contribution for everyone that's going to pick up the ball and run with it for the next 20 years. So join me in thanking the panel, if you would, please. Great. I'm going to hand the ball over to Alan, and we're going to get ready for our next session.
Thank you so much, Marty. And would you please give them all another round of applause? And thank you so much. I'd like to invite Carolyn Sims to come on up here, and she'll help get everyone where they need to be for the next session. We have a fantastic conference for you for the rest of the morning, and then a wonderful keynote luncheon. Team's done a great job. I hope you enjoyed today. There are 4 breakout sessions that are upcoming next, and then we will have a short break, transition time in between those sessions, and we will repeat the session. So you can go to at least 2 out of the 4, and Carolyn will give you some directions on exactly how to do that. Thank you.